Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. The latest game that I wanted to talk about is RoboCop Rogue City, which is not a game I expected to play all the way through, which I did. But my backlog is freaking enormous right now, especially when you include brand new games that I want to get to. I even just new games. I've got 4 or 5 games I've got to beat before I get to some other stuff. And RoboCop Rogue City was not on that list. I just came across it on PS Plus. Figured I'd give it a try. I have to be honest, when I saw the trailer for this game, I was not impressed. I thought it looked really dated. And when I saw the spectacular reviews this game had, I watched the trailer again and still thought it looked dated and simple. The weird thing about this game is that it is kind of dated and simple. At the same time, it's very contemporary and very successful. So I just wanted to talk about my thoughts, good and bad, on the game. I will say that I had an entire review or an impressions video, I should say. I had that completely recorded and ready to go when I was about 4 or 5 hours into the game, which I thought was a good place to give some impressions on my overall thoughts. I'm so glad I didn't publish that and played through the whole game instead. When I was a few hours in, I didn't think I was going to complete it. I thought it was fine, but it really felt something about this game, even when it grew on me, something about this game feels like an Xbox game, like an original Xbox game or like an Xbox 360 game, maybe. I think it has mostly to do with the character models, which we'll get into. But this game just has a strange, simplistic feel for me. But that's also a good thing in a lot of ways because they didn't try to do too much in this game. They knew that if they were going to make a RoboCop game, you were going to move pretty slow. You weren't going to be like a ninja. There wasn't going to be 14,000 different attack moves to give RoboCop or anything like that. And they kind of stayed true to what the property is. And most importantly, this was definitely done by people that took the RoboCop franchise seriously and the lore. And I would wager people that love RoboCop and the franchise and the lore. Because this company, the developer is Teon, and it's published. This game is published by Nacon, two companies that I'm not familiar with. Teon did a Terminator game called Terminator Resistance, which a few people here and there really liked, just because they thought that they took the property seriously. And it seems like they've done the same thing with RoboCop. And I'm pleased to announce that, I mean, as someone who likes RoboCop, kind of missed RoboCop when I was a kid, but I've seen the first movie. I like it quite a bit. I don't have any nostalgia attached to it, but I like it a lot. Have not seen the sequels. I've heard mostly negative things about them, but I'd like to watch them someday. I can say, as someone who's a fan of at least the first movie, the level of dedication and loyalty to the IP is staggering in this game. The models of the locations, for instance, the police station, the streets where Clarence Boddicker and those guys in the first movie blew everything up, the gas station that blows up is there. There's a bunch of other places. There's a flashback scene that's really freaking cool. And the graphics, oddly enough, are really good in this game, but they kind of need time to marinate. I didn't like them at first. I think it's because the character models, besides RoboCop, they just don't look as good to me. Like some of the textures look really good and current and updated, but the characters just move and sound strange. I think that's why it reminds me of an Xbox 360 game. It seems like that was one area where either the budget was a little lower than it would be for some other games, or they just had to figure out where to cut some corners to get the game released on time. But the character models, the NPC models are not so great. And it kind of just makes the whole game feel a little cheaper than it actually is because the more I played this game, the more I appreciated the graphics and how current a lot of them are. It's just that all of them aren't. Some of them just look a little dated and simple. I'm not really sure why that is. But again, I reviewed this game, quote unquote, after 4 or 5 hours of playing it. I didn't think the game looked that good. I didn't think the game played that good. I didn't think the story was that bad. I thought it was surprisingly decent and had promise, but I was kind of tepid on the game. And then the more I played it, the more I just kind of took it for what it is and enjoyed myself. This is kind of a boomer shooter. You're not going to do much except participate in like a shooting gallery with a bunch of thugs. That's most of what this game is. And you're going to pick up very simplistic items like, oh, I found a stolen wallet or I found a stolen purse. That gives you XP that allows you to get skill points and upgrade the standard stuff like armor, combat ability, damage, stuff like that. So again, this game doesn't have like a ton of frills. It doesn't have a ton of upgrades. It's not a game that you'll probably play forever and ever. There is a new game plus, but beyond that, I don't know if this is a game you're getting a ton of mileage out of, aside from achievements. But I like that. It's kind of a scaled back approach. We don't need every game to have every single RPG element ever known to man, even if it's an action game, even if it's a sports game, even if it's a puzzle game. We don't have to have RPG elements in literally everything. And again, this game does have, you can upgrade your gun, you can upgrade all the usual stats that a character usually has in a video game. So there's stuff there to do, but it's mostly walking around and mowing down enemies. Now, the choice of enemies I thought was a little strange. It's kind of varied, but there's so many of them that there's not that many enemy types. That's certainly forgivable. There's not a ton of guns, but again, I like the stripped down approach. I never have a problem with games that only have 7 or 8 guns. I don't think that's a problem because we all know what kind of damage types there are in first person shooters. But regardless, when you first play the game, you might be put off a little bit by how simplistic it is, but I would just stick with it. It's just part of the game. And if you just want like a shooter where you're blowing a bunch of enemies away, I mean, this serves its purpose. Ironically, if you need a new Terminator game, this is basically a Terminator game as well. It doubles as that. Why? Because your character moves really slow. You're sort of indestructible at a lot of different points and you're just mowing down enemies. It's fun in that way. It's pretty much when you're in first person mode and you're in combat, you can pretty much pretend that you're playing a Terminator game. It's the same exact vibe. So that's a worthwhile note as well, especially because obviously Terminator and RoboCop have a lot in common and they've crossed paths before in video games. So it's kind of cool that in my opinion this doubles as a Terminator action game too, if you want it to be that. But that is putting the story aside, which honestly, the story and the characters are really freaking good in this. Now, I definitely wouldn't give the voice acting an A, but Peter Weller being involved in voicing Robocop helps a lot. Some of the actors and actresses did a good job. I think some of them could have done a little better, seemed a little flat sounding, but they got some of the likenesses of the other characters. Peter Weller, I believe, was the only voice from the original movie, but it's really hard to tell who did the voice work for which characters when you go online. So don't quote me on that. But Peter Weller does a great job as Robocop again, no surprise. And everyone else, I would say it's a bit uneven, but the story and the writing do a lot of the work and prop up the voice acting and the characters. The writing is by people that again, they definitely understood this property. They understood the aesthetic. They understood a lot of what the movie was trying to say. I would argue that they didn't catch everything the movie is trying to say because one of the big things about RoboCop is the anti-authoritarian bent and kind of the anti-corporate warnings that it gives. And I think this game and the people that are behind it and understand all those points. But I do think there are long stretches of the game where you're really just shooting the hell out of criminals. And isn't it fun because they're not actually real people? Now, that is played a little bit tongue in cheek in the original Robocop. I don't know if it's tongue in cheek here. The characters, some of them seem really happy about killing all these people. And listen, it's a RoboCop game. You know what you're getting into. I just don't know if they caught a lot of the subtleties that were in that script. So that's just me. Overall, though, the story was really engaging. There are characters who play big roles that I never even they're just kind of made up characters, but I really enjoyed their role in the story. And the climax was okay. It was fine, but they could have done a little bit better. But all in all, this package is so reminiscent of the first RoboCop movie. You can't help but enjoy it if you care anything about RoboCop. This is just an enjoyable game that's faithful to the property. It seemed like that was their number one priority. RoboCop moves really freaking slow. That's really my only criticism of the game, and it's not really something they could have really gotten around unless they really wanted to cheat and kind of compromise the character and the entire game, frankly. So I don't blame them too much for that. I think they could have cheated a little bit and let RoboCop's running animation been a little bit faster. I understand why he walks really freaking slow, but when you hit that sprint button, I think they could have cheated a little bit and made him a little bit faster. There's times in the game where you have to run 100 plus meters and it just takes forever. And there's nothing to do in those 100 meters when you're running. You're just running. And it slows the game down. Overall, it made the game seem a little bit longer than I think it actually is content wise, but it made the game feel like it drug in the last 2 or 3 hours, which is unfortunate because I don't think it really does drag as far as content and levels and stage design. I think it's about right. The end is kind of just a shit fest with a million enemies, but that's kind of unavoidable in this kind of game. Overall, I really recommend RoboCop Rogue City. It surprised me. I thought it would be a little chintzy. I wouldn't say it's the biggest budget game in the world, but if you like RoboCop or you just want a simple shooter, go for this. This will fit the bill. But what do you guys think? Were you into this one? Did you beat it? Were you not so much into it? Are you interested? Let me know in the comments below. I'll talk to you later.
Something out. Besides, you could do with a head start. Go on.